Welcome. We do have a few housekeeping tips as we get started. As I mentioned, this session is recorded. We do want to recommend that as out of respect for the privacy of our attendees, that we don't use any third-party AI tools like Otter AI or other tools. We will be providing you access to this recording. We want to make sure that we also always start every session with reminders that anytime we're using AI, that we want to make sure that we're not putting that PII, that personal identifiable information, in to any AI tools that we're interacting in. And if you use any AI tools that are providing feedback to students' work, make sure that we also are removing any of that PII prior to copying and pasting that work into whatever tool that you are using. All right. So today we are going to cover a lot of things, and I said it's going to be interactive, so don't be surprised when I ask you for your feedback. But we're going to talk about why it's important to teach AI skills. Why is that something that we should consider incorporating into our course and our course activities for our learners? What does it look like to set expectations for students? What does it look like to have that conversation with your students? We're going to talk about some use cases and some practical examples that you can take and try, but we also want to hear from you. So we're also going to give you an opportunity to share ways that you may already be incorporating AI into your classroom. To help level set today, we first wanted to talk a little bit about why it's important, why this conversation is important. Now more than ever, we're seeing a shift in what that future job market looks like, especially when it comes to the use of AI skills. And it's a great opportunity for us to help teach our students, first of all, how to think critically. That actually might mean something a little bit different than it did a year ago or 2 years ago when we're talking about using AI technology. What does it mean to be a critical thinker when they're using AI tools? What does innovation look like? Why is that skill shifting? What skill sets are we seeing shift around innovation? AI allows us to be incredibly adaptable, but what does that look like? Creating that opportunity for our students to learn and grow in their adaptability as new tools come out. And I always laugh at myself trying to keep on the cutting edge of whatever AI tools there are. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore because it shifts so quickly. And tools are upgrading and changing so fast. I'm not sure what cutting edge looks like anymore, but adaptability is absolutely a skill we need to make sure that we're not only modeling, but we're also teaching our students how to live in that world. And then how do you ethically use all of this technology? I mean, we have more power at our fingertips now to do things that we've never thought about doing using technology. We have new opportunities. But what is the ethical side of that? And I think that's one of our greatest strengths coming in to our classrooms, working with our students, is how do we teach that ethical awareness? How do we create that ethical awareness, especially in light of the fact that everything is changing so quickly and technology is advancing so quickly? How do we make sure we keep ethics in the conversation? So those are some really important, not only skills in the classroom, but these are skills that our students are going to take into the workplace. So that's kind of the lens that we're coming from today. So as we talk through, know that we're grounding ourselves in looking at the future for our students. What does critical thinking really mean? How do we teach what that looks like in an AI environment? What does innovation look like? What is adaptability? And of course, always the foundational question is, how do we ethically use that? And so that's the big picture. But the question we have to ask ourselves, if those are the AI skills we want to teach, and Jamie, if you'll advance us one, then how do we inspire our students to get involved in this innovation? What does it look like to inspire that student innovation? Because the AI literacy skills are really critical for our students. And we've put some ideas up here, but I wanted to give you an opportunity. See, I told you this was going to be interactive. If you're already incorporating AI into your classroom, what's your why? Why is it important for you? And just a couple of you, if you've already got some AI, if you're using it in your classrooms, why is it important? Why was it important for you to put that in your classroom? What was your why? and you can throw it in chat. You can come off mute. We've given you our why. What's your why? Have you all incorporated AI in your classrooms yet? Yes, no, you can use the react button, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I have a why.
Perfect.
Because I believe that modeling appropriate and helpful use of AI for students is important because it's not going away. And if we try to avoid it, I feel like we're demonizing it for our students, which encourages bad behavior.
That's an excellent why. In our chat, Anne has said incorporating AI in the classroom so students can learn how to use it intelligently as a brainstorming tool, perhaps for speech planning. That's a great idea. I always use AI as a brainstorming tool. And James said faculty seem to be hesitant to incorporate AI for student use. They're currently working, and James is at Nashville State, to better educate faculty on how it might be helpful. So that's a really good why as well. You know, we're learning. The crazy thing about AI is we're learning as fast as our students. And sometimes we're learning with our students. That's why we think this is an AI collaborative learning process. So that is absolutely a great call out. And Lisa says it's important to teach students to ethically use AI tools, and have students use AI rather to gather suggestions for selecting points for their speeches and things like that. Patsy.
And of course, here at Southwest, we're in the same boat as everybody, and we have faculty that are embracing it, such as in our graphic arts. I mean, that's a no-brainer there, but in the humanities, of course, research papers, that's where we're getting. But I think as educators, it's our responsibility to teach students how to use it ethically and professionally. No, it's not going away. And in actuality, we've had AI for a very long time, if you think about
it.
And talk to the old time math instructors when the calculator came about. Or do we want to take away our Google? Do we want to take away our automated grading calculation? Those kind of things. We've been using AI for put down that phone that you use constantly. So I think that as educators, and this is how I'm trying to approach my faculty as well, and we're all learning, you're right. But as educators, it's our responsibility because that's what we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Patsy. It's our responsibility to have these conversations and to be engaged in the tools that are out there. So we want to talk a little bit today about what does it mean to set expectations for your students? What can that look like? So I'm actually going to turn it over to Pari, who has some great resources in this space.
Thank you, Sarah. So in terms of jumping into the classroom, in our online classrooms, in our in-person classrooms, anywhere, the first thing we want to try to do is, and maybe a bunch of you are already doing this because this is already an informed group, you're already here to share and talk about what you're doing along with learning from us. So that's actually really great. But in the classroom, instead of treating AI as an elephant in the room and hoping that people will not bring it up or students won't use it or we don't have to say anything, our first suggestion is to clarify as a faculty member just your own stance on AI, and it could just spark a conversation about how do we feel about it? How do you yourself feel about it? And if you share your own stance on AI, saying, I feel pretty closed, or in our class, it might be not useful, or in our class, it may be good to use it, but we are going to use it in a couple of assignments, and I will tell you when to use it. And so that just creates some sort of an open conversation. And if you share your own stance on AI, then chances are students are going to speak out and be a little more vulnerable in sharing what they are doing or what they expect to do. Just opens that conversation up. The second point is we wanted to make is to actually go ahead and provide AI usage guidance to your students. And this could be in many forms. I know many institutions have different types of ways in which they do that. It might not be at an institutional level. It might be at your course level. It might not be at a course level. You may do it at an assignment level. But, as long as you're clear about what the expectation, it could be just saying something as simple as saying AI allowed for this assignment or AI not allowed for this assignment. And if it is allowed, here's how to do it. So that's our second point, is to clearly provide AI usage guidance to our students. And here I have an example of a document that we will share after the presentation as well. But I just wanted to really, actually, Jamie, if you go back one, I'm gonna share my screen really quickly, and not focus on that right now. Just give me 1 minute to go over this document. So basically, we have drafted some language that you can use, and you might be using some version of this already. Notice that it starts with option 2, because option 1 was you specifying that AI uses band. And we all already talked about the fact that we want to start sharing with students how to use AI. So we are not even considering that option. So I was like, we will just save some time and not worry about that. You are already convinced. So in this case, somewhere within your course, in your classroom, if it's good to have some written guidance where you tell students, hey, you're allowed to use GAI tools, and here's how you can use it in an acceptable way, and here's an unacceptable way. So this is very generic, so you can just use it and modify it, but I have an example of what that might look like, right? And so, for example, you can provide more guidance to students saying it's okay to use AI to brainstorm things, to generate flashcards for things, to outline, to make any kind of preliminary research going on, and with proper citation. But if you're using it to generate like full and final answers or passing it AI work as your own, then that's not acceptable. So sometimes having that in black and white, it kind of really explains things, because if you keep it vague, students will not understand. They might be confused. They may say, "Oh, I didn't get it." Especially students who are from culturally different backgrounds. As myself, I was a grad student many years ago. So the more we specify, the better it is. And this is just an example. You can make this your own. It can very much be, very discipline specific as well. Another acceptable use here is that, you can use AI tools to get feedback and suggestions to improve your understanding, improve your submissions, etc. But do not automate the entire learning process. We don't want mental laziness or, shortcuts, and we don't want you to not critically think. And finally, you don't want acceptable use using AI tools to collaborate with your peers and your instructors in a respectful manner is good, but don't use generative AI to bully or harass. And those are some very basic tenets that you can start with, and then you can go on and customize it and make this as detailed as possible. Again, as I said, you could have something at a course level, you could actually have it at an assignment level. There's no problem in saying AI is allowed, and here's how you should use AI. The last thing I also wanted to share is you can share with your students how specifically you want them to cite their AI usage. And obviously, APA, Chicago, MLA styles have all come up with their own recommendations. You can provide them with examples of what that would look like. But again, this is setting the expectations for students, saying, hey, if you're using this, I do expect you to cite it, and this is how you should cite it. So the more examples we provide, the more clear we are, the better students are able to understand what is expected out of them. And so the better results you will get in terms of when they do use AI and when they tell you that they have used AI, in what format. So now I'll stop sharing. And the last tool that I wanted to share that you can share with your students, Jamie, now you can share that one slide, was the AI decision tree. And you may have looked at this before, but it was generated for Edutopia by an educator like us, Jen Stauffer. Is this Can you make this full? Yeah, there you go. Just a little bit better to see. So we can share this particular AI decision tree with students. So for example, if you at a course level do say to students, I encourage the use of AI, please be open, use it, but cite it. So that's very open stance, and you're kind of putting it on the students to use it. But if you are able to give them this aid to say, here's how you can use AI ethically. And so there are it's a simple flow chart, whether or not they're permitted to use it, whether they're enhancing their learning and not shortcutting them. Are they using the prompt method for the AI generative inputs, sorry. And then the prompt method is to kind of it's a little small, you will get this later, but basically to be aware as students, like what is the purpose? What is the role that I'm giving it? How am I organizing it? What is the model? What are the parameters or criteria I use? And am I using this particular method to do this? And then finally, am I using edit strategies to analyze, which will allow them the critical thinking piece to just not take AI output as it is and say, is this right? Is this correct? Is this actually accurate? And what is my human voice in this? So to generate an outline maybe, but not have it for the whole essay. And finally, the last two pieces are very important because like all of us are saying, AI literacy is critical. We need to show our students how to integrate these tools in their learning process. We use these tools in our teaching process and our productivity. So as students, they need to be able to show and explain why they've used AI or how they've used AI and what is their reflection piece, like whether it worked, whether it didn't work. And so we want our students to learn how to do that for every time they sort of use AI until it becomes second nature to them. Because we have to give them this guidance and information upfront right now because it's all new. But eventually, our hope is in 5 years, people are going to think critically without us telling them to. But for right now, this kind of student aid can really help them understand how to use AI tools and how to properly use them ethically and in the correct manner. All right, thank you.
So we noticed that William, you have your hand up. Did you have a question for Pari or for the team or something to share?
A question for the team. So I'm aware that there are custom GPTs, custom chatbots that gets the AIs to do closer towards a specific assignment or way of output, which to me, it would make sense to have students use custom GPTs that bias the results towards acceptable uses and away from unacceptable uses, if those exist. So I was wondering, one, is that something that you think would make sense? And two, if so, are you aware of such custom GPTs that would make the desired biases or guidelines on how to make those GPTs for the desired biases?
That I am aware of them. In fact, there have been some use cases in different webinars that we've attended where faculty have established their own GPT specific for use cases and assignments or at the class level, where they're setting up in the background what are those parameters, the biases that you're talking about, to ensure that there's basically boundaries around the use of the AI tool. And I believe with the new ChatGPT 4.0, if you're a paid member, you have the ability to create GPTs. I'm not sure if the team knows of other platforms that maybe it's free to create GPTs.
I don't know of any right offhand. I'm in the process right now of learning to create GPTs. If you're doing that, do it simply. Don't do anything complex out of the gate. But I would also say, when we're talking about biases, we've got to be really diligent that we understand where the training data is coming from. And so even if we did build let's say a closed off GPT, let's say we did one for TBR, is there still an opportunity for bias to exist in the training data? So it's getting down to the level of understanding what it is that we are putting into the systems. So I think it's kind of like and I may be not correct here, but what I'm thinking of and what you mean, William, is that are we able to maybe put a fence around the content that our students are learning? We're leading them down a particular path. And if we're doing that, can we better control for bias? I don't know that we can 100% control for bias, I guess is my thought process on that. I think that's something interesting to think about and look at going forward. So I'm just not sure. It gets back to what are those systems being trained on?
So to be clear, I'm using bias in a neutral sense. So if you have an AI that is biased towards giving outlines of paper rather than writing a full paper for a student, that is a bias, but it is a desired bias. So I'm saying desired biases. We want to bias it towards giving an outline away from writing the paper for them, things like that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So when you are designing a GPT on your own, you give it explicit instructions. So that would be an explicit instruction that you're embedding it within that GPT.
Yep. Yeah. And that could be actually just at the prompt level. I don't think you have to do a whole GPT for that. So setting the parameters of, I think one of the examples in OpenAI was don't give the answer.
Right.
Only
if
prompt
they were doing
the
a math problem. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So that's very simple as a parameter, as a requirement. And they do really well with those, actually, if they're very specific and explicit exactly what that boundary is. So, but this is a very good segue, actually, William, to what I'm going to talk about, which is a very broad application that maybe you can use and modify in your course or at assignment level to help introduce learners, students on using AI and bridging the concept that we've been focusing on in several of the last sessions here is focusing on the process rather than on the product. So here, this is a use case I am borrowing and redisplaying transparently from this wonderful book. I highly recommend it. Teaching with AI. It was co-published in association with the AAC&U. So check that one out. But this template can be used in a variety of disciplines and a variety of assignments. But bottom line, the purpose is for the student to then experience and understand and appreciate the value of process. So just walking you through this use case here. So here we are asking the AI to actually produce a product. So is it write a paper or to create an image or to actually formulate code, whatever the process is that you're asking them to do. Then have the student evaluate those results. Have them identify where there are errors or where they can make improvements on what was then returned back from that prompt. Here's then where the learning happens, where the learner is learning. You need to adjust your prompts to get what you're looking for. So have them adjust those prompts and then explain what is that strategy that they used in adjusting that prompt. Did they give more detail? Did they give more background? Were they more specific in what they were asking for? And then really describe what worked and what didn't work in those modifications. And then between all of the outputs, then choose the best one and then continue to edit it individually as the student. Again, applying that student human voice to the product to make it better. Then have them describe, again, what is that value that they added to this project that an employer could see? So that's the key to the big why, right? That employers are looking for these skills and be able to explain how their work is either better than what the AI produced or how they enhanced and made the work of the AI product and much better. And so a variation on this maybe could be a little more skewed for the arts or in the sciences. So again, still starting with a prompt where they're asking the AI to do coding or create an image, and then they're debugging or analyzing or evaluating again what is returned from the AI. And that becomes what they spring from and explaining what are the errors or the enhancements that they needed to make in that AI results and how their correction is better. Have them continue that cycle and iterate in making that product better, the coding better, the image better, the writing better. And then have a discussion on what are those trade-offs that they had to make in order to make something better. And there's different kinds of betters, right? So having them draw upon what you've established as the quality expectations for your class or the quality expectations for that discipline or that industry. And then how they are making those in better alignment. Again, continuing to reinforce how they can make that prompt better to get that closer to what they expect from the very beginning and describe their human contributions to that output so that they can then explain to a future employer why they should be hired over them just using AI. So very, very powerful, very simple example here that can be modified for your class. Again, very foundational and very basic. So I want to hand it over to Jamie. She has some more specific use cases for you.
Okay, thank you, Erin. I really enjoyed that. That's a great little template to use there. So as we're talking about customized GPTs and specific use cases, we have been working on something within our team, and that is, okay, we know that we've got these Gen AI systems out there. We've got ChatGPT, we've got Claude, we've got the others. But what about those AI systems that are discipline specific? So we've all got these students in front of us, and they are attending our courses to earn a credential, to get a job, to upskill, all of those different kinds of things. And if we're looking with our eyes on industry, we know that industry is using AI tools. So we want to spend just a little bit of time today looking at how you can prompt ChatGPT for industry-specific tools. And I'm going to do a little bit of jumping back and forth on my screen so that I can show you how this is going to work. But you can use systems like ChatGPT. We know that that system can be used within any industry. But if I'm thinking about business in particular, if I'm thinking about agriculture or medicine, are there systems in addition to ChatGPT or these other Gen AI tools that are really specific to my industry? And would it be beneficial for students who are studying for that particular career within an industry to get their feet wet and understanding these are tools that are specific to a job, to a career field, to an industry, and how they are being used? So that's kind of the frame that I want us to look at when looking at what we're going to do here. So what I've done was to come up with just a real basic little prompt that you can copy, paste, and edit and play around with for generating ideas for your course. And this prompt works in partnership with the learning outcomes and course description that I lift off of the course syllabus. So I'm going to pop out of my screen and release it here for just a moment. And I'm going to grab a new window, and I'm going to get ChatGPT sitting back here. Okay. And I'm going to come back here just a second. So this is the prompt that I've given you. So the prompt is create 5 AI-infused activities for my college, whatever course you have, you're going to plug it in there. Align the activities to the course description and outcomes below. And I put a little asterisk just saying that I've taken those from a TBR syllabus, my copy of my syllabus that I'm using for my course. The rest of the prompt, I would like you to suggest AI tools for each activity. that are free and are specifically related to whatever industry. Include tools that students are most likely to use in a particular job. Place the information in a table and provide a link, including the URL to the AI tool you suggest. And we're going to iterate this one in just a moment, but I want to show you how this is going to work. And so what I've done, I've got my little, let me scroll up here to the top. I've got my little prompt sitting here, and I set this up for a soil science course. So I'm going to paste this in, and then I'll read it to you and we'll take a look at it. Create 5 AI-infused activities for my college Introduction to Soil Science course. I am providing the course description and outcomes. I would like to focus on AI tools that are free and specifically related to the agriculture industry, tools that students are likely to use in an agriculture career. Place the information in a table and provide a link, including the URL, I'll explain that in a moment, to the AI tool you suggest. Now, I'm going to jump back to my sticky note here just a second. And I want my course description and outcomes. And again, I just jumped over into Simple Syllabus actually and grabbed this syllabus. So I'm going to place that information just below. Okay, so I've got my outcomes there, and I've got my prompt there, and my course description, and I'm going to send it off, and let's see what it comes back with. Okay, so it's going to give me some activities for this course. So it's going soil health assessment using remote sensing. So it's going to walk through that information, and it's going to list the learning outcome that's addressed and the tool that it's using. Now, in my prompt, I put including the URL. I don't see it there. So I need to reiterate that again if I really wanted that URL. The reason I do that, it looks like it's doing well, is sometimes I'll get these and they're not clickable and I just have to copy and paste it into the browser window. So that's why I do that, include the URL. It's not imperative that you do that. So what I'm going to do is I've done this on one other, let's see where I've got it over here. I'm going to leave it there. I've got this on another slide in my presentation, and I'm going to drill down on it a little further. I've run it all the way out. I want you to see how quickly that it generated that for me. So I've got the information out of there that I want. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to go to the next slide, and I've got this soil science one already built out, and I iterated the prompt is the reason why I want to bring you to this. So this is exactly what you just saw. So it came back with my activities and my links. I went back in and said, okay, I like the looks of activity 1. So right here is the soil function analysis that we just saw on the previous one that I ran. It's exactly the same. It's using this tool called Soil Grids. And so I said, provide an activity based on number 1. It's number 1 on my list, or I could actually put in this little title right here. It'll be fine, or activity 1. And I said, I need 2 versions of that activity, one for an in-person class and one for an online class, mainly because I want you to see what it's going to do differently. Provide a grading rubric for each and include student directions for using soil grids. So if I'm looking at this list, it's giving me software that is aimed at AI software that's aimed at a particular industry. But let me tell you, I'm not an expert in all these systems, right? But you don't need to be. We want to let students do some exploration here, let them figure out some things on their own. But one of the things I want to get them started on is how to use that tool. So AI will produce that information for me. So it's going to walk me through. So this is my first activity. This is for my face-to-face course. Yes, in-person class version right there. So it's going to tell me soil samples, what's needed, a laptop or tablet, lab equipment for soil preparation. So it's going to walk through what students need to do. So this is face-to-face. So in groups, they're going to collect soil samples from different locations around campus. They're going to prepare the soil samples for analysis by following lab protocols for drying, sieving, and documenting physical properties. They're going to access SolidGrids, and I'm going to click on it in a second and show you what it looks like. They're going to input their data, they're going to analyze the data, and they're going to prepare a short presentation. There's my little rubric. Now remember, we always say that everything's in rough draft format, right? I know that I need to take it out of here, and then I'll need to then edit it. So this is the second one, and I want to show you what it does differently. This is for the online class version. So it says, individually collect soil samples from at least 2 different locations near your home or community. So it's giving it a different lens because it knows my students are not all together in a group. So it's going to be modified a little bit for that process. Here's the grading rubric for that activity as well. And right here are the student directions for using that software. So it's going to have them set up or create a free account, access the data section. I can tell it that I need more. I need step-by-step directions, and it will provide those as well. So that is one way that I can get at getting particular pieces of software. And I want to show you, let me pop back up here to the top, what this actually looks like. So right there, it's going to give me, see how it's not clicking my little link. So I'm just going to grab that and copy. It's good actually that's not doing it, so you can see exactly what I do when I can't get there. Okay, so I'm just going to look up SolidGrids, and it's going to pull it up for me, and I'm going to go right into it. That one's actually slow. Let's go into this one. And it should load right up for me. So this is the software for soil analysis. And so then I'm just going to zoom right down to our little region. You could actually plug in a longitude and latitude, and I'm going to hit explore. So then you'll see what types of software that it's going to start pulling up. And again, this one's for soil science. So my students are able to use this piece of software. So this is how we can get into discipline-specific types of things for students in our class. So what I have done for you on this slideshow is I linked up some uses. I've done one for accounting. It'll drill down to accounting softwares. It gives me the activities and different tools. I've done one for special education, and I've done one for management, just so you could see the differences there. Now, I took this original prompt and I iterated it. So again, remember, provide a detailed activity based on the number of activity or the title of the activity. You want 2 versions in class, online, give you a rubric and the student directions for using the tool. Now, here's a little tip that I always share with folks. Let's say that I'm out here signing up for a lot of these free tools. If they are literally free, then lots of times I won't use my school or work email because I do not want to get unwanted information from companies, or I don't want them to sell that information. So what I do is I just create a free email account and I use that for signing up for the different tools. Now, if you are in for example, in, let's say, an engineering field, so they've got CAD software that's really expensive. But if you have a .edu email, you get 2 years free use. So if it's coming back for you and it's saying this software is a paid version, then I would iterate the prompt and say, find me software that I can use for with a free academic account. And I'm going to show you that in just a moment. So this is an example for you to see how you can take this prompt and you can iterate it for a particular industry. Okay, let's go to the next slide. How can students use this prompt? Because students can do this too. So I threw in a prompt that said, I am a college student studying, and I plugged in nursing, so I'm going to use that word. I'm a college student studying nursing. Provide a list of AI tools specific to nursing that I might encounter in my career. Put the information in a table. Include a column and let me know if the tool is free or paid. Provide information about whether the tool is free for students. Those are different right there. They sound kind of the same, but they're really different. So it just means that if I've got a .edu account, can I access the software for free? Provide a link to the tool. So I'm going to click here and let's take a look at what happened when I ran that prompt through. And hopefully it's going to go a little quicker here. So literally any on these, this is a way, folks, that I data mine for tools that are out there on the web. It takes forever, right, to find tools for your classes that you can incorporate and use. And what I find that I start doing is I will oftentimes, and I've got a different door I can go through right here if this is going to be slow. I will oftentimes find myself using the same tools over and over. So this is a great way for you to just come up with different ways that you can actually see tools that exist out there. Let me get to this front door. It slowed right down on me. And I'm going to go in this direction because it's not going to keep me out. Okay, so right here is the nursing prompt. It'll give you different tools that you can get to. So here we go. So there's the prompt. So it's come back and it's giving me these tools. It says, okay, these are paid, IBM Watson Health, Sepsis Watch, Doximity, Florence, Babylon, Bowie Health. It's going to go through. So I see a good mixture of free and paid. It's going to tell me what that software actually does. And so I can see that. So remember, you can do this from the instructor perspective as well as a student perspective. And we're getting at discipline specific. So I came back and I said, okay, I like this Figure One tool right here. Medical case sharing platform for healthcare professionals to discuss cases and share knowledge. I also need directions for use. So students can also prompt for directions for the use of these tools. It's going to come back and it's going to talk a little bit about what Figure One is, what the features are, and how to use Figure One. Tips for using Figure One. And so then I got curious and I thought, well, if I'm looking back up there at that original list of all the different tools, are any of those free access for students? Now, this is just different from just plain outright free, because plain outright free is free to everyone. But like I said, some software, the companies that produce these expensive systems will give students and instructors free access for a period of time. And so what it then generated for me was it came back and told me the ones that had premium features, but would let students have access with a .edu or instructor to have access with a .edu. So this is just a couple of ways that you can use a general AI to get you to AI systems that are specific to disciplines or specific to careers, and students can use them. So I've done another one here for engineering. We'll take just a super quick look at that. So it came back with MATLAB, Autodesk, SolidWorks. And I do know for a fact that systems like SolidWorks and also Autodesk give students a .edu free access. And so I did have it do those I iterated that prompt again and it came back and I said, any of these free access for students? So it's looking for .edu and instructors. So it came back and gave me that information. So you can prompt, your students can prompt. Okay, general education. So what is an activity that can be done in a gen ed course because you're teaching students through content that they're going to go on down their learning pathway and then they're going to get into their career courses, right? Or their discipline specific areas. So what I would suggest you might want to do, and this would actually be a very fun activity for you to learn about your students, is ask them for their chosen career path. Ask them, what job are you working in now? and have them do the research in that particular area about AI systems that are being used in their chosen career path or in an industry that they're involved in now. Bring that back to your gen ed classroom. And we've talked about ways to use these systems through gen ed, and we've talked about how to brainstorm on papers and do those kinds of things. But this is allowing you to step into that really specific discipline pathway that your students are experiencing in their learning as well. So create an activity and say, okay, bring your career to the classroom. Let's see what's happening in that world. And that's going to lead me to the next piece. So what we would like to challenge you to do is to name your classroom an AI lab. And I want to give you a bit of advice. And I know my team is we are all together on the same page with this. This is a big undertaking, right? When you step into these AI systems over into this world, there's a lot going on there. Don't feel like you need to be the expert in the room. We know that at this point in time, there are very few experts walking around, right? And if you're an expert today, you might not be tomorrow because it's changing that quickly. So treat your classroom as an AI lab. Talk very transparently with your students about we are all literally learning these systems together. That's going to take pressure off of you. And it's going to allow you to enjoy this process a little more. And so what I've done here is just kind of craft out two ways. If I'm thinking about implementing AI in my course, here's a couple of different ways I can go about it. And so I set this up through AI, and I used the 5-week course model because we have at TBR these course links that are all over the map, right? 5 weeks, 7 weeks, 15 weeks, etc. So I just fed it into one, and I was going for like the threshold, the minimum that I came up with was 5 week. And I said, okay, I want the students to take on the main responsibility in this with me. I don't want to have the pressure of going to mine out AI tools that they can use. I want them to go figure that out because this is a very self-directed learning activity that they need to start doing now and develop that muscle for watching these AI systems and kind of watching the landscape of what new ones are coming out and how it's unfolding. And so this might be an activity that you do. So you're having a conversation in your classroom about AI, and you're giving them that transparent information about, we don't know, I'm the instructor here, I have my content area, but this is not it. So we are learning together. And then have an activity to where they're going to go find out about different AI systems within different disciplines that can be used, and develop out an activity where they're going to do research, they're going to learn, they're going to collaborate, they're going to share that information, then they're going to come back and they're going to share that out with the larger group. That's a really great little project where you're just saying, okay, I'm not taking all of this on my own as an instructor. I want to push this out and share it with students. We're all going to learn together. The second way you could take this on, and I took it on as the model that you're sitting here in June with us, and we really appreciate that. We know that you are super busy all year long, and Breathing Room is great, but you're here learning something new or sharing with us so that we learn something new, and we love that. So I took the model of, okay, I'm in my summer months here. I want to start toying around with this. What can I start doing? I want to do something in my class in the fall. I don't know what it is. So I could use that summertime to really kind of hone in on a general AI. Maybe it's ChatGPT. Maybe it's a specific AI that gets at the discipline I'm in. Or maybe I want to do a little bit of both. It's totally up to you. So you're going to use the summertime to get a little bit of information. You could then go into the fall and unleash that 5 week where you're saying, I'm not taking this on my own. This is what I learned during the summer, right? This is on my summer vacation, what I did. And then have students do it. But also you might want to help get them going and provide guardrails. And my teammates have been great about talking about the ethics and what you will allow, what you won't allow. And this is the place where you have that conversation when you start out in a project like this. And you would also do that in the 5-week as well. So here it's just saying, attend some meetings, learn a couple things. And one piece of advice we would like to give you is that there are literally more AI systems than we could possibly learn about in our lifetime, right? Don't get overwhelmed with that. Really focus on one or two, see what they can do for you, and then get comfortable with those. And then if you start wanting to add in, then do it that way. So you're getting your understanding done in the summer, and then you want to come back in the fall, and you're going to take one activity in your course, and you're going to infuse AI into that one activity. Now, is it going to go beautifully? Well, does that happen always in classes? No. I'm really good at crashing and burning and learning from my, what I will never do again or how I tweak, right? It's just like you're teaching that course for the first time. We've all done that. And you go through the first time and you realize what worked, what didn't work, and I want to share out. I want to change these or tweak these kinds of things. So this little activity right here, which you'll have the link to this presentation you can work through, talks about doing a needs assessment of yourself and your course and your content and picking one activity. It could be something around your classroom management. It could be something that you're engaging students in using AI systems. But we would like to ask you to take one of those approaches and stick to it. So make an implementation plan and timeline and step into it. Using these systems are the way to become versed in them and understanding what students are actually doing when they are interacting with the AI systems. So take a look around at the information that's there in the presentation, the information that Pari and Aaron and Sarah all shared with us today, and step into it and start to also look, in addition to ChatGPT and Bard and Copilot and all those great softwares, start thinking about what is it in my specific discipline? What's happening with AI tools? And getting students thinking about that, because there would be nothing more grand than for them to walk into an interview with a resume that's got some AI tools and AI skill sets listed on it. And that's a great way to get our students thinking in this space. And we're getting them out of that. Let's not think about it in how we can use it to circumvent our learning or to cheat. How can we use this in our jobs to get us more knowledge, skills, abilities, and potentially money? So that's what we have to share with you today. In our last little bit here, we would love for you to share anything with us, any thoughts you have. Was this something that you've been thinking about? Are you using AI systems already that are discipline specific or productivity? Just let us know what's going on. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you want to know. Also, let me show one more quick thing. I flew right past this. On this last slide, someone just made a comment. This is the link to our AI website we maintain for you guys, and we work diligently on sifting through these various AI tools and finding the really good use cases and tools and links and prompts and recordings that we have in these sessions. And all of that lives on this Bridging Minds and Machines website. And we continually add to that. There's a form on there for you to share with us what you're doing in your classes. We would love to know that. We would like to spotlight you and what you are doing and share so that your colleagues and peers can learn from what you're doing as well. So in our last few minutes, anyone want to share? Are you using any discipline-specific AI tools in your courses? If so, how? Are you going to? Do I see a hand up?
Yes, James.
Yeah. So Nashville State, we're working on creating a faculty resource, like a course on these topics, like walking through faculty, educating them, like what does it do, how you can integrate it into your course. We don't have any discipline specific uses right now because faculty are not, they're hesitant to even build. Plus it's summer, so most faculty are, at least the ones who are in charge of the programs are maybe not on contract. So over the summer, we're developing this resource. We're going to promote it in fall and then try to get faculty to come in to do, who are interested and motivated to incorporate some sort of AI in their course, either on the teaching aspect or integrating it for student use. So that's our plan right now. Currently, we're just researching and building it, but this is really helpful. Thank you.
That's exactly what you should be doing, and that's perfect. And one of the things that we've discussed within our group is we understand the hesitancy and the worry. We have concerns as well, right? But also think about when you get into a discipline-specific AI, you've got that subject matter. You are the subject matter expert. You are the subject matter expert. You can maybe more clearly see the immediate benefit of such a system or concerns or limitations of such a system, and that's learning too, right? When students learn limitations, that's fantastic. So it may be that getting into that discipline-specific area may be helpful because you're bringing the subject matter expertise into it very clearly. Now, you're a subject matter expert in ChatGPT as well, as long as you're in the area that you are a subject matter expert in, right? And so that works in all those systems. But moving over in the area where you see the definite application, and you can find the real world use cases for students everywhere in their area and get them thinking about it might be helpful. Any others? We loved hearing that. That's fantastic. Anyone else want to share? Maybe you haven't thought about looking at specific systems within areas before. Medicine will just blow you away when you get over there. Some of the things that they have going on. It's just unbelievable. But, in any of the areas, it's there. And even, in our TCATs, there's a lot of AI over in that area. So we would just like to say, please take a look, take some time to dig around in the area that you're teaching in. Again, Gen Ed, ask your students what they're going to study. What are you going to do? What's going on in AI in that world? And let them go find out what's happening. I love seeing the comments. They're so great. Okay, well, we are at our time, Sarah. I'm going to hand it back over to you to close us out.
Well, we just want to make sure we say thank you all for joining us today. We hope that you picked up a few things that you can take with you and try. We really want to challenge you to make your class an AI laboratory coming up. Think about ways that you can do that. If there's things that we can do to help you or brainstorm with you or look into tools with you, please don't hesitate to reach out. This is the thing we like to do. This is the thing we get excited about. So let us be part of that journey for you. We did put the link to the resource website in there, as well as the link if you'd like to join us in July for Tech Talk Tuesday. We will be having Tech Talk Tuesday in July, but we will not be having Tech Talk Tuesday in August, as we think that you all will be getting ready for fall semester and it might be a good time to take a break. So feel free to go ahead and sign up if you want to join us in July. But we do want to say thank you very much for taking time out of your day and joining us and being part of the learning process as we all learn more about AI. So have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.